Hi everybody, you're welcome back to Salvation Therapy. My name is Onozesi. The one who has sent us is the one that we adore, is the one that we bow to, because you know that Salvation Therapy is a community. People come together to heal and begin a journey of transformation. And today's story is quite emotional because this is a story that talks about the waiting period, especially for those waiting on God for the fruit of the womb. And you know, wherever you are, waiting on God for something specific, this story is going to resonate with you. And my guest today is Mrs Janet Alalade, and she's going to be talking to us about how she snapped out of depression, how she started to enjoy the goodness of God, how she started to see God in her life, because He has said He's in the midst of her and she will not be afraid. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and share this video with all your friends and your family members, and like the video. Please do not be stingy with your likes. Please like, thumbs it up. And I also want to use this opportunity to say thank you so far for all your good comments, for all the feedback. You know, thank you so much. Forget that you can also be a part of this. If you're in Ado Ekiti, just drop a comment in the comment section if you'd like to be a part of this. I'd like to have you on my couch. Thank you so much. Do enjoy.
Hello everyone, my name is Janet Alalade. I'm a baker and I'm an event service provider. I also have an initiative for young entrepreneurs in Ekiti State, which is Ekiti Event Vendors. I'm also into mini importation, and I'm passionate about helping people grow, become a better version of themselves. So today I'd like to share my story with you. I'll be talking about my waiting diaries, or how I snapped out of depression. So I've been married for 6 years, and I'm still expecting my children to show forth, because they definitely will show forth. But I would just like to share my experience in the past 6 years since I've been married. So I got married in 2015 to the love of my life, and of course the Nigerian society, we all know how that people will pray at the wedding and say, oh, in the next 9 months we are going to come and help you carry triplets, carry twins, and you know, all of that. Of course, the first agreement between myself and my husband were like, we're going to enjoy ourselves for like a year before we now, you know, start having our children. We just wanted to have fun with ourselves and just enjoy the moment together. By the time it was 8 months, there was pressure from here, family and friends saying, how far, what's going on? My mother-in-law would call and say, hope I'm fine. Of course, I already knew where she was going to. She wasn't going to be direct. So a year and a half after, we decided to attend a seminar for young couples. And at that seminar, of course, they were talking about fertility. They were saying that, so when it's a year or 9 months and you don't see anything, it's okay to have a gynecologist to start seeing one. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I took that advice, but I just felt it wasn't necessary yet. Of course, pressure here and there, we decided to say, okay, it's a year and a half, let's go see a gynae. So that was how my fertility journey started. So we went to see a gynae. Meanwhile, I didn't do a test yet before the gynae was asking about my history, you know, about my menstrual cycle. Someone that always has a very heavy flow. He asked if it was regular, irregular, in all of those normal questions they'll ask you when you want to go through a fertility process. So I started using a particular medication. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was Femara, I can't really remember. I started using that. Then he said we should start using well woman, just to, you know, help our immune systems, blah blah blah. To cut the whole story short, I was still slim because I got married like a very slim person. So I realized that along the line, after we used that first cycle of medication and nothing happened, so they told us to go and run tests. This is where the journey of my my mental health started getting tampered with at that point, because I'm like, what's the essence of, you know, going through all of this? But I just convinced myself that, okay, Janet, let's go do this. And I remember that before we got married, whilst we were doing counseling in church, my church is a church where you have to do every test. Yeah, you do pregnancy test, you do your pelvic scan, the man is going to do you know, sperm count. We had to go through tests. The church I used to attend before, we're always particular about making sure that they don't have stories that touches the heart after I've married. So I did pelvic scan, and at that point the doctor then told me, oh, you have a retroverted uterus. I said, what's the meaning of that? I remember asking that I hope it doesn't have to do with anything that is going to affect my fertility. He said no, that's totally fine. That it's rare to see women who have that kind of uterus, but there's nothing wrong with me. And of course, my husband also did the test. When this gynecologist told us that we should go through a round of tests, Okay, it wasn't funny because I am the kind of person that has threshold for pain. I could hold on, I could be having cramps and I could be laughing with you, even if I'm dying inside of me. And we started the test, the pap smear, different kind of tests. The fact that a whole lot of things and instruments had to go into my, private parts was really discomforting for me. And for me, of course, I got married. I didn't have sex before getting married, so sex was quite painful for me. And then still trying to sink in the fact that when you're having sex, don't imagine the pain, just enjoy it. And here I am doing fertility tests where something has to be put in me, make me so uncomfortable. You don't want to know the pain. And we started doing test upon test. Meanwhile, I'm the one who was liable to do more tests than my husband, because of course we are in Africa, the world of a woman. If the woman is the one that has to go through this, do that. So we did all of that, and the guy rather advised that okay, we should keep using that medication. I think it was maybe like 3 months after he said I needed to go and do another round of tests. Now the same set of tests I'd done before, and then there was one that actually sent me to heaven and brought me back. That was HSD. I will never forget the pain I felt. I felt like dying at that point, because I'm like, do I have to go through all of this? I was yelling in the will I say test room. I'm sure my husband had never seen me scream like that. I was yelling. I thought I could hold the pain, but I realized that there's a level of pain that Janet, you actually cannot hold. I was yelling. I was wailing, like I was literally screaming. I didn't even care who was going to hear me at that point. And I remember when I was done, the doctor that took the test said, "You're a strong woman." That some people had fainted while going through that test, and even some people landed in the hospital. But trust me, when I was going home, I wasn't comfortable. I was behaving like a mad woman. In the car, I was just raising my clothes because I couldn't explain the kind of pain I was feeling after the test. And my husband was like, I should please cover my body. People would think he went to abort for me. And I'm like, I told him like, we are married, so why would you be worried about that? So I just yelled at him, because at that point I wasn't myself anymore. Every time I think about that pain of that test, sometimes I just shed a tear, like, did I have to go through this pain because I'm expecting or I want to give birth to a child? And we went back to the gynae. He said there was nothing wrong, both of us are totally fine. And this was where my weight gain started, because we had to go through IVF, not once, not twice, I would say 3 times, because I remember that the first one we did, I became a doctor myself, because my husband is usually not around. I started injecting myself, using medications. These injections were oily, the medications were oily. I'll have to set alarm, sometimes wake up in the middle of the night to inject myself. And of course, the retrieval of eggs was another terrible experience of pain for me. And going through that, coming back, inserting they call it, I don't know what they call it or whatever, they insert the egg back into you. It wasn't successful. There was no positive pregnancy result. Of course, I think 3 months after, they said, I could do another one. I told my husband, let's wait till like maybe 6 months. So we went ahead. After 6 months, we went through another process. Now this very process, it was a traumatic one for me, because the day I was supposed to start using the medication, myself and my husband were kidnapped. I couldn't use the medication. We called the hospital. They told us, I should just wait for like 2-3 weeks before I start using the medication again. Now I had to travel back for the processing. I went through another excruciating pain, only for the gynae to call me and then told me that they couldn't insert the eggs back into me because their machine had a fault and all of that. So that was like an half, will I say, process of the second IVF. So they took responsibility that they are going to provide the medication for the next one free of charge. When I'm ready, I should let them know. At this point, I was already blown out. Like, I was really fat. My dresses were not sizing me anymore. I started getting depressed, because every Sunday morning that I have to go to church, I have to start scattering my wardrobe, thinking of what to wear. From Saturday, that depression always started on Saturday before church, because I'm like, oh Janet, what are you going to wear? And at this point, so financially, myself and my husband were already getting, we're not so buoyant anymore. Because of the IVF came in, a lot of things happened to us as a couple. That point, there was no money to even say, go for shopping, go and buy new clothes. So I will put on clothes and it will be so tight on me. Naturally, I'm someone that doesn't like things so tight on my body. I want a little bit of space so I can breathe. But it will be so tight on me, I will not feel comfortable. I have to just keep up the pretense of laughing, greeting people, saying hello here and there. And I was doing all I could to lose weight. Now in the middle of that, I remember that I tried to lose weight. I lost the weight, but just after I lost the weight, I went through another processing and I added my weight back. Now this third one, I went through the third processing, and of course the painful experience, and then the next thing was it was negative too. At this point I was really depressed, and I remember that when I was done with all of this back and forth processing, having to use this medication like 4 times, that's my own count. The matron at that hospital told me and said, Miss Alalade, you know that the hormones of women are quite different. She called me outside and she told me like a secret. She said she has noticed that my body is a body that contains things, and it will take a long time for all of the medications that I've used over 2 years to actually go off my body. At that point I'm like, okay. So I asked her, so are you saying that I'm going to be blown out for I didn't even know what to ask her, because I was laughing and crying at the same time. For me, I was just like, I never wanted to be this big, like on the big side. I'd always watched my weight before I got married, because I knew that in my family there was a tendency for us to like blow out, but I'd always been conscious of it. And then getting to use fertility drugs now just blew me out. I was like blown. I wish I could get a former picture so you could see it. I was really blown, and I got depressed. Now the part where I got depressed was the fact that people would see me and we're in Nigeria, and they go like, what are you eating now? Why have you grown this fast? And some of them will be like, you know, in Yoruba, for those who don't understand Yoruba, they will say, this one is too much, oh, why are you this fast? You should do something about it. At the point of going through that processing too, so some people will just come and say, alpha, you don't chop up, you don't date there. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with all of you? Why are you watching? I will never forget, there was a particular incident where I just finished the IVF process, and I was still trying to recover from the trauma. That was when they said they couldn't put back the eggs in me, and the trauma of the pain I'd gone through, and trying to keep myself back together and say, well, let me keep living my life. And then I got to a place where I had my former friends, and one of them, who was married with 2 children, just went and said, in Yoruba, what is all of this? The way she said it, like, I felt like there was shit on my body. And she was like, what is all of this? Where are you growing fat? Like, Benny. At that point, I didn't even care, because I'm someone who actually tries to mince my word before I reply people. I didn't care who was there. I didn't care if maybe a pastor was beside me or somebody elderly was walking. And I told her, I said, what is your problem in Yoruba? Is it because you have given birth to 2 children and you are still your same stature? That's why you don't let us breathe. That the fact that, as in, I went all out on her. And I told her that, see, just shut the hell up. I had to use that swear word at her. I said, shut the hell up. You don't know my story. So you don't have the guts to just come at me and tell me how you almost sorrow. Everybody went quiet there, because the genius they know will not just, spark up that way. So they were wondering what could be going on. And people like, Janet, they were like, sorry, it's okay, and all of that. The fact that in Nigeria, I always say this, we always will watch male couples. I don't get it. I'm grateful for the kind of husband I got married to, because I remember when there was pressure from his mom, he dealt with that and I was free from her. I've gotten to a point where when I tried to snap off of that depression, I remember that I had to talk to someone who has gone through that spot before. She had to wait for, I think, about 7 or 8 years. She's been the one that's been encouraging me. The agitation of, how that I make love to my husband, and in my mind like, this is it, I'm going to get pregnant, and I'm expecting to miss my period, and then the period comes. Sometimes my period will act funny with me. The period will stay for like 7 days, and in my mind I'm like, maybe I'm pregnant. I will be scared to even do it. I got to that point where I was scared to even pick up a strip to check if I was pregnant, because in my head I'm like, it's going to be negative, there's no point. So I remember that when I spoke to this woman, and there was a particular time that my period was late for 2 weeks, I kept checking, and I'm someone that once I know that the date of my period is coming, I am always holding pad about, because I don't want it to come and miss me on our way, because my second flow is always heavy, like terribly heavy. I could use 5 pads in a day. And I remember when I spoke to her, she told me that it's okay to get agitated, and at the same time it's very okay not to be agitated. And then she told me that, in fact that day she said this, I was crying. She said, Janet, don't worry, one day you'll miss your period, you will get pregnant, you will carry your children, that it's totally okay for you to feel how you feel. I told her that, but how come my period did not come for 2 good weeks and I'm not pregnant? I could not fathom it. And at that point, it wasn't like I was on any diet, but the one she spoke, she told me in the Bible that, do I know that in the Bible that there was nobody barren in the Bible? The only person that was barren was the wife of David. I think it was Bathsheba, when she was laughing at David for dancing like a crazy man. And she said that even Anna, it's not like God did not give her a child, but she had to exchange something to get a child. So what I did to snap out of depression was like, okay, I'm always a happy and enthusiastic person. In the midst of all of this, people were living with me, they didn't know I was depressed. Sometimes I'll just enter my room, I'll just start weeping and crying. It's not like I don't want to have my children, I do. And the fact that I can't comprehend is that there's nothing wrong with me, there's nothing wrong with my husband, and then these children are not coming forth. But thank God for that woman I spoke with, and she was telling me that God had already told us that we should be fruitful and multiply. And the same Bible says that none shall be barren in the land. I call her Auntie. Auntie said, her name is Tutu. I remember she said something. She said, Janet, do you know you already have children? And it's just that the ones you are waiting for are the ones you want to conceive and bring forth by yourself. So I asked her, how? And then she started giving me an example, because she had known me before I got married. She said, before you got married, you started taking care of teenagers in church. You send them monies, pocket monies. Now you got married, thank God for the husband you got married to, who allowed you to accommodate people. She said, sometimes she looks at me and she looks at the people I put in my house that I don't even know from Adam, and I'm taking care of them. She said, she said, that's Yoruba. For those who don't understand Yoruba, she said, you're taking care of other people's children. That's alone should give you joy. That you have people staying with you that you are taking care of like your own children, like your own younger sisters, that even if they are your younger ones, it's more like you're taking care of children. And she told me that look at them and derive your joy in the midst of all of these people that surround you. And I remember the last thing she said was that God has given you your children, it's just that they've not come to manifestation. So of course I was like, but in my mind I started getting worried. Is my husband not thinking about this? Is he not worried too? Is he not thinking that, when are we going to have our own children? And I had a conversation with my husband. I think that was the last time I went through my IVF process, because at that point I practically yelled. I remember I stayed with my spiritual parents, and when I came back from the hospital and it was negative, I went to them, I was crying, and I said, I'm done. And they asked, Janet, what? I said, I'm done. I said, I'm done. I said, I'm done with any fertility process. I'm done with using medications. I'm done with, as in, I was saying it and I was crying. I said, I'm done with injecting myself. I said, because I can't count how many needles have pierced my body. And I'm like, how old am I that I'm going through all of this already? So I told them that I'm done. And I said, just in case your son or my husband calls you to report me to you, I said, I'm not doing any fertility thing again. I said, if God, at that point I told them, if God doesn't want to give me a child, or he doesn't want to give my children, then no problem, I will go and see them in heaven. So they just went, it's not possible, collector here. But the fact that I already hit depression using those medications, there was something it just did to my mind, because having to wake up, trying to, they'll say, oh, they call it extramuscular, you have to put it right below your womb, and I'm like, do I even know where my womb is? And sometimes they say, oh, it has to be below your navel. Just different guidelines and descriptions, and there's no doctor around. I have to become my own doctor, put spirit on my body, inject it, be sure I got the right measurement, mix it. It was depressing for me, because I naturally don't like drugs. I ate it. It was really depressing for me. And I remember when I had that conversation with my husband, thank God, it made me feel a little bit better. He told me, he said, what if our children had come at the point we were kidnapped? He just took me back to the scenario of when we were kidnapped. And I said, do you know that they were in the car with us? Maybe they would have just been roaming on the road and a car would have hit them. Or maybe the kidnappers would have shot them. Or God forbid, maybe the kidnappers would have killed our enemy. And who is going to take care of those children in the middle of where we don't even know where we were at that point? So that calmed me down. Remember, I also told him that I said, please, I don't want to do, I don't even want to hear anything fertility anymore. I used to be very joyful when I hear people give birth. In my depressed state, my mom will call and say, Lagbaja bimo, and I'll say, okay. And she will call back. She'll say, you've not called these people, because she knows my normal self. I would have called, I would have sang, I would have danced, but in my mind I'm like, what am I rejoicing over? The devil just put it in my head, like, you don't even have shame. What are you rejoicing over? Like, this person is giving birth, you're jumping, you're carrying this, you're carrying that, you know. And the fact that I got to the point where I was thinking that God had sown seeds when I was single, helping people who just put to bed to go and clean, help with their children. I practically become a house help for most of them. I will carry the child, we'll go for vaccinations together. I did a whole lot of that. I'm like, why should it be me that will be in the position of waiting for my own children to come after every seed that I've sown? And I've had to question God, and I come to the conclusion that when people say you can't question God, I'm sorry, I question the person who made me. Because the same Bible says that ask and it shall be given unto you. And when he says ask, he's not talking about asking for material things. He's not talking about asking for healing alone. He's talking about ask where you are not clear on what is going on. And you know, the same Jesus said that I will send you the Holy Spirit who will teach you all things. So if you have someone who is teaching you things, why can't I ask questions? So you know, I got so depressed. I didn't even want to see anyone around me. People thought I was fine, but I knew I wasn't fine. I wasn't ready to go to parties. I wasn't ready. If my friends were getting married and the normal me, I would have asked, what should I help you to do? I wasn't enthusiastic about being joyful about people or whatever they were going that was giving them joy anymore. I just wanted to be alone. And of course, going back to my weight gain, it was difficult for me to lose weight at this point because every time I lost weight, I will add it back. That one even added to my depression. And I remember that the Holy Spirit told me, that day it was in the midnight. I was crying and I was worshiping at the same time. And the Holy Spirit told me, and he gave me a word. I think it's Psalm 46 verse 5. God is in the midst of her and she will not be moved. From the beginning, it talks about how God is my shield, my shelter. I don't know that particular place, but the word I got is that God is in the midst of her and she will not be moved. And I'm like, why is the Holy Spirit giving me this word? And I remember the Holy Spirit told me that, Janet, you need to relax. You need to calm down. You need to enjoy the person God has made you to be. And I know that the person that I am is to help people to grow, to just help, to put smile on people's faces. So I told myself that if I'm supposed to put smile on people's faces, I should not be in a state of depression. I will just, you know, I was able to contain the depression, but I was depressed. When somebody comes to me to talk to me, I will help them, I will talk to them, and when they are gone, I will start crying. And I'm like, is this not madness? There was no one to call for help. And you know, when I got that word from the Holy Spirit, it was soothing for me to hear. And I actually just calmed down. And of course, I talked to God about anything. To the point of my weight loss, I said, I want to lose weight. Like, I want to lose this weight again. And the Holy Spirit told me, your mind is not positioned to lose the weight. When your mind is calm and at peace, your weight loss will be easy. At that point, I said, okay. So I remember during COVID, I had a lot of people living with me, my family, my sisters, my younger ones, who would do weight loss. I was not losing weight though. They would just say, it looks like you're looking. Me, I knew that the weight was not going. But I'm so grateful that early this year, I just made up my mind and I told Holy Spirit that I'm ready. Because I remember they say, when you're ready, I'm ready. And I said, Holy Spirit, I'm ready. I want to lose this weight. And it's been amazing because, of course, I didn't want it to be a drastic weight loss because of the blowing out. I wanted it to be gradual. So people will not say, people will always talk in Nigeria. So people will not say, did you fall sick? So I just said, I just want it to be a gradual weight loss. Now, to the place of snapping out of depression, when I thought about all of that and I said, okay, the purpose God created me was not because I wanted to have children in life. I had a purpose. When I discovered my purpose as a teenager, I already knew God's purpose for my life. And that was, I had to call myself to a meeting. So why am I depressed because of children? Because I don't have children of my own. And I told myself, let me focus on that purpose God has called me to be. My ministry, my business. In fact, I poured all of the energy of my depression into my business. As in, I went crazy into my business. I'd always been crazy about it, but at that point when I was depressed, I just became lackadaisical. So I said, let me go back to the place of my joy, which is the passion of baking. I poured all of that strength into it. I didn't even, in fact, you know, I'm not sure if when someone even asked, one of my mentees asked and said she wanted to ask me a question, and she said, Mama, do you even think about the fact that you don't have children yet? I said, honestly, right now, I don't have the thoughts in my head anymore. I was able to snap out of depression. I was able to get back to my joyful self. I was able to get back to the place of sincerely being happy for people who have given birth, you know, helping them, sending them a gift or something. But trust me, the past 6 years have been an amazing journey. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. And I know that there's somebody out there who is just been married for maybe 2 years or 3 years, and you're really agitated and worried. I understand the pressures from family, from friends, and I just decided that I was not even going to think about peer pressure of people. And I'll never forget, there was, I think, the third year of our marriage. I remember a very close friend who used to be, because right now we are not close, who used to be close to me, whispered into the ears of someone and said she doesn't even know what Janet is doing with her life. That this is the third year she's married, and I remember it word for word. She said, and she's hopping up and down, laughing, doing this one, doing conference, doing concerts, and is she not thinking about having children? And the last thing she said that hurt me so much was the fact that that time that she saw me was when I was going through my fertility process and I had to stay in Ibadan for a while. She said, why would she stay out of her husband's house for like a month or 2 months? Who does that? And I'm like, really? Seriously? I was pained because I'm like, this is someone I was close to before I got married. It won't cost you anything to walk up to me to have that conversation. Why whisper into the ears of someone? Unfortunately, that person told me and said, babe, I don't know how much you carry this person on your head, but you need to be more careful with her. And of course, till date, she doesn't know that I heard what she said. I just pulled back. She had never asked me about, how far with children or whatever. But I just want to put an encouragement out there to anyone who is waiting on God. Any woman, even men, because you'll be amazed that even some men are actually depressed, actually expecting that the reason God created us, of course, He created us to be fruitful. But I need you to understand that the fruitfulness was not only in the place of having children. The fruitfulness was in the place of multiplying the gifts and the callings of God upon our lives to be a blessing to people. That is what I put my depression, anger into. And I became better. I became a force that, of course, I've known as being a jagaban person, but it looked like the energy I got was much more than what I used to have before. I had an enlarged capacity to contain so many things at the same time. And it's been an amazing journey, trust me. Like, I'm enjoying my life because I'm doing what I love to do. I'm happy with myself, with my husband. I'm helping people around me. My business is doing fine to my own capacity that I know, and I've not had any reason to say, oh, let me have the thought of my child. I don't have a child yet. In fact, in recent months, I had the experience of missing my period again for 2 weeks, for a week, and I remember there was a particular night that I just started bleeding. There was just a gush on the bed. I just laughed. I just laugh as I laugh at anything and everything. People are giving prophecies, different prophecies, but one thing I've always known is that if you are not convinced about the word that God has given to you, you will be swayed left and right by different kind of people, and you will just miss whatever you want to do with your life. But I want to say, I know some people will put you under pressure. You go here, you go to one baba. There's nothing anybody wants to do for you that will bring those children except God gives it to you. You need to understand that. I know that my children are not yet here, but I know they will soon be here because I'm expecting them to come, and it's triplets. They have to come once and for all. But what I've learned to do is to stay in the place of God, confessing and thanking God, because I realize that all through the years I've prayed, I've asked, I've confessed. I'm at the place of praise points, not prayer points anymore. I'm just thanking God for my children. Every time I pray and I'm giving thanks, I give thanks to God for them. Myself and my husband, we have their names already. So I just want to encourage someone out there once again that there's nothing wrong with you, and God is not too slow. God is not late. He makes things beautiful in His time, and at the appropriate time. I know God is going to bring those children to you. It will make your joy be full. But as a woman, I want to say that your purpose is not in having children. You need to discover your own purpose and enjoy it. Be a blessing. In the place of your purpose, you will find fulfillment, you will find joy, and the children will come, even when you're not expecting it. I know it will look like what you're saying is not here yet, but I'm just saying that even when you're not expecting it, I've had testimonies of people like that. Even in the midst of my waiting, I've had to encourage young couples, and thankfully God answered their prayer. And this was the same thing I told them, and they will come and say, oh mama, God did it. I'm like, thank God. As in, I'll be so happy. And I know at the back of their mind they go like, mama, we know God will do your own. So I said, definitely. But God answered their prayer through me. I know you cannot look at me and not answer my own prayer. It's not possible. So that's all about my waiting diaries and how I snapped out of depression. Because now I'm a happy woman. Nobody, them cannot see my joy. It's possible. It's not possible because I'm here. I'm here with God, and we are here to rock the world together. And when the children come, we'll rock it together. See, Baba God blows trumpets.